Hi guys, a very warm welcome to all of you. We will just wait for a couple of minutes for rest of the people to join in, and then we'll start. Mm, mm. Hi all, very good evening. My name is Ankit Kapoor, and I would be taking this webinar for investment banking today. Uh, basically, you can say I have about 17 years of experience into the industry. I have started my career with UBS way back in 2007. And from there, I moved on to Morgan Stanley in 2013. And then I was an AVP with Credit Suisse from 2016 to 2021. And then from there, I was a senior consulting manager with Ernst and Young. So this has been my journey for last 17 years or so. I've been working into operations. I've been doing a bit of training. I've been associated with NSC, BSc, and other institutes who deliver investment banking courses, right? So today we would go through basically what are the skills that are required for investment banking, right? What sort of job opportunities are available for investment banking, the types of questions that are going to be asked in investment banking, right? So, and of course, we would also tell you what sort of skills that we can offer you in order to get into this ocean of opportunities, right? And I would just like to thank you all for taking time out and attending this webinar, and let us begin. Right. So as I told you, this is sort of my journey in last 17 years, right? So I worked with all the global banks across India as well as in abroad. I was in London for some time, and I have migrated processes from London and US as well. Especially if you see last 5 to 6 years, I've been predominantly more into the training side, developing courses, and trying to get the pulse of the industry, try to make people, or especially people who want a career in finance, be ready for the market, right? So as an interviewer, as an AVP, when I was conducting sort of mock interviews or when I was taking interviews, uh, I felt that there was a lot of knowledge gap, right? And that was the whole idea, to bridge the knowledge gap between the industry and basically what MBAs teach, right? The curriculum that is offered, right, is in, for example, in an MBA or MCOM, was not in line with what was the expectation of the global investment banks, right? So that is why a lot of you see tech companies are now filling that gap beautifully. So what we'll do, we'll continue with the session, and in case you have any sort of questions, right, please raise your hands, and I will try and take it then. If not, what we'll do, you can just put your questions in the chat, and we have, say, last 10 or 15 minutes just for question and answer session, right? So either ways, it works for me, right? And I hope you get an sort of more enriching experience about investment bank. All your doubts are cleared, and I hope that you interact with me, right? The main sort of thing that is required in this industry is good communication skills. And the more you communicate, and the more sort of freely you are able to communicate and express yourselves, the better it is, right? So I would expect people to ask questions. Any sort of question is fine, right? There are no sort of, I can say, foolish questions or nothing like that, right? Do not be afraid, right? This is, you can say, a platform where you can express yourself. I'm here to help you. I'm here to clarify any doubt, right? So be active, be interactive, and then we will take it forward. Right. So basically, guys, what is an investment bank, right? How does an investment bank differ from a commercial bank? Can someone tell me? Any, can someone tell me from this group, how does an investment bank differ from a commercial bank or a retail bank?
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, so according to my understanding, investment
Hmm.
banks help the companies, they guide them basically at the times of mergers and acquisitions or while bringing IPO in the market. So they are basically doing the work as a consultancy. And commercial
Okay,
banks are the banks that take deposits and gives loan.
perfect. Right. So very good.
Hello.
So, hello. Yeah, someone wants to add to this?
Yeah, this is Satya Naik. I'm working in a nationalized bank for the last 18 years.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I just wanted to say something like between the difference between the investment banking and the commercial banking.
Mm-hmm.
Investment banking is basically related to the, I mean, sourcing of funds related matters to their clients,
Mm.
like issuance of IPO,
Right.
winding up, and um, same issues like that. But commercial bank are basically related to the uh, acquisition of deposits and lending that money to the borrowers, so then they can earn the profit between the interest. That's the main difference.
Right. Perfect. So thanks, guys. You have summed it really well, right? So that is the main difference between an investment bank. So if you look at the functions of investment bank, right? So the functions of investment bank are more into raising of capital, right? For example, IPOs, mergers, research, right? These are the sort of works that an investment bank does. And a commercial bank, as you said, is more into money lending, right? Loans and deposits. That is the main sort of function that a commercial bank does. Apart from that, if you see, commercial banks have lots and lots of customers, right? It can run into crores. However, investment bank, you can say the customers are limited to, say, maybe 500 or 1,000 if it is a big commercial bank, big investment bank. Right. So here, if you see, right, we have sort of various uh, people who have capital, right? Who have capital and who need capital, right? So an investment bank, we can say, is a bridge between those two set of people. Those people who have capital and those people who need capital. So they bridge the requirements from one side to the other side. And if you see in the last, say, 20 odd years, India has become the hub of back office operations for all the major investment banks. So I started my career way back in 2007. The operating model at that time was mostly third party, right? So what is a third party model? Third party model is where your work was outsourced to the third party, right? So we had Wipro, we had Infosys, we had HCL, we had Cognizant. All these sort of companies were taking work from the actual investment bank, be it UBS, be it Morgan Stanley, be it JP Morgan, right, be it State Street. So that was the model that was prevalent, you can say, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. However, over the course of time, India has now become, you can say, a hub of all the major investment banks, right? You can name that all the major banks have sort of an office in India. And if you see, it is mostly concentrated in 4 or 5 regions. You have Bangalore, you have Hyderabad, you have now Pune, you have Mumbai, and you have Chennai. But now, if you see, they are now expanding to other territories across India as well, with a lot of banks coming up in Gurgaon, say BlackRock or NatWest or Lloyds, right? And similarly, Jaipur has an office related to Deutsche Bank. So it is now spreading across India. Right. So what sort of roles or what sort of basic divisions are there in investment bank, right? So if you see, we can broadly categorize it into 3 main divisions. One is your front office, the second is your middle office, and third is your back office or data management, right? So front office is basically related to the revenue generating arm of the firm. They are the ones that get in the clients, get in the money. And due to certain rules and regulations, right? Mostly the front office roles are not outsourced to India. So they are there in, say, New York, say in London, or wherever the bank is based out of it. However, over the last few years, there has been slight change, right? I can say about maybe 5 to 7% of the roles that are available only pertain to your front office, right? So the next is your middle office, as the name suggests, right? So they are sort of a link between the front office and the back office, the front office and the client, right? And this is where your majority of roles are. So middle office, you can say, is mostly a client-facing role or a stakeholder management sort of profile that we are looking, right? So you have trading, you have booking, you have confirmations, right? Trade support, execution, you have trade validation. All these come under your middle office roles. And as I said, they are the sort of link between the front office, the back office, the front office, the clients, and the various stakeholders. So I have been part of middle office for, say, you can say, the best part of my career. So I started my career in interest claims, right? That was sort of a middle office profile where we had to interact with clients in order to settle the claims, pay the money out. Then from there, I moved on to bookings and confirmations, right? And that was a core middle office role where we had to book trades that were flowing down from the front office into the middle office system. We had to check details, we had to validate details, and then send out the trade confirmations to the client. And in case there was any exception, we had to raise the exceptions to the required front office, right? The third sort of role, you can say, or the main bulk of the roles that are available in investment banking in India are in back office, right? So you have n number of roles that are now available in back office. You have NAV calculation, you have reconciliation, you have cash management, right? You have settlements. Event processing is nothing but corporate action, right? So you have collection of dividends, payment of dividends, bonuses, rights issue, everything that affects the capital of a company is termed as corporate action, right? So most of you, I think, or if you are from a finance background or if you're a finance enthusiast, would have heard about the Lehman Brothers crisis that happened in 2008 and 9, right? So it shook the entire investment banking world, right? So post that crisis, right, a lot of focus is now on your data management, regulation, reporting, right? So if you see another sort of roles that have cropped up, say in the last 10 years especially, are roles related to controls and reporting, right? So there are a lot of roles that are now available in this segment. For instance, earlier there was no need for any sort of external audits, right? However, now it is, and you can say it is a mandatory requirement at the SOC that you need to have external sort of audits, right? So now you are open to both sort of platforms, right? So you have all your big fours, right? Say Ernst& Young, McKinsey, BCG, PwC, all of them also hiring for people with investment banking background, right? And apart from that, all the major banks that I have spoken about, right? Be it Goldman Sachs, be it JP Morgan, be it Morgan Stanley, Bank of Mellon, New York, Bank of America, State Street, Broadridge, Franklin Templeton, right? All these sort of banks have a back office, or other word for that that is now being used is Center of Excellence, COE, right? So these are the sort of roles that are now coming up in the industry. As I told you, risk management is becoming very, very vital. And apart from that, you have MIS, that is generating of regulatory reports. So reports, I can say, are submitted on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on say 6 monthly basis, and annually as well. So a lot of reporting, data reporting sort of work also come in, especially during last 5 to 7 years, right? So these are, you can say you have multiple career options that are available, right? Apart from this, you can also get into a business analyst profile, right? So if you come from a technical background and if you have sufficient knowledge about investment banking products, operations, how exactly the flow works, then you can be a good candidate for business analysis as well, right? Okay. So far, any questions, guys, before I move ahead? Anyone has a question? Anyone wants to have any clarifications? Please let me know. All good? Okay, I'll take it as a yes. Right. So basically, as I told you, okay, someone has a question. Right. So how is private equity different from investment banking? Right. So what exactly is private equity? Right. You can say it is now sort of being acquired into investment banking as well. A lot of banks are now doing that. So private equity is basically what you're doing. You're targeting any companies, right? Where few of these you can say clients are coming together, right? And they say targeting a company where it can be taken over, right? Or it can be sort of the majority of shares can be acquired and with the intent of selling it to some other party, right? So a lot of now, you can say investment banking are also moving to private equity. So if you say you have private equity, you have venture capitals, right? So all this is now becoming a part of the broader investment banking industry. So recently, as I told you, right? So I was working with Credit Suisse. So who has Credit Suisse merged with now, right? So it has merged with UBS, right? So that has been a big merger that has taken recently, right? And again, if it was not merged, then we could have had a potential crisis like Lehman Brothers. So that was, you can say, a very, very important decision that the Swiss government had to take, right? So Credit Suisse being a bank for over 100 years, right? It had so much reputation, it had so much at stake. If it was allowed to go through the same phase as Lehman Brothers, then the whole financial structure or the whole investment bank again would have faced a lot of problem, right? In order to have that risk reduced, they were asked to merge with UBS, and UBS, being such a big bank, were able to consolidate their position and help in merging with Credit Suisse, right? So these are all the big banks that are available. And apart from that, if you see, a lot of Indian investment banks are also coming up, right? So if you're looking for something on front office roles, right, as I told you, the international banks might not have that portfolio available right now in India, but you can always go abroad and do it. However, all these Indian investment banks, right, say Elara Capital, JM Financial, Edelweiss, they have all the front offices that are located in India, right? So they would be the places that you want to target, right? Or if you are really interested in front office roles, right? So as I told you, right, Hyderabad is sort of hub of, you can say, major banks across the globe. I am from Hyderabad and I can tell you that, right? So recently, I don't know, not made recently, maybe a year ago, I can say that Goldman Sachs acquired about 6,500 SFT office in Hyderabad, right? Apart from that, JP Morgan has hired a big office in Hyderabad. All the major banks, right? State Street, Broadridge, Wells Fargo, right? They all have big offices in Hyderabad. And it was just sort of estimated, it was a report generated by Naukri.com that around 6,500 jobs would only be created by Goldman Sachs by 2025 in its investment banking division. And similarly, JP Morgan plans to hire about 3,500 associates over a period of next 2 years. And the whole investment banking industry, if you say by 2025, would have a requirement of close to 12,000 to 15,000 people to work in their back offices or center of excellence, which are now being called as captive. So this is the most, I can say, appropriate time to jump the bandwagon, right? So if you have the necessary skills, if you have the necessary temperament, they are the highest sort of paying jobs that are available in financial markets, right? So if you get into a good financial institution, right, say JP Morgan, for example, as your entry level career, then you can expect a starting package of say 5.5, 6 lakhs or even more. The other thing that, guys, I want you to uh, so for initially, someone had a question, sir, is it possible to get into front office roles initially? You might not get directly into a front office role, but you might get into something called as uh, sales trading or assistance to sales traders. And from there, once you get experience, then you move on to a front office role. Right. So basically, as I was telling you, there are close to 15,000 to 18,000 jobs that will be created within next 2, 3 years across all these banks in India. Right. So this is probably the best time to join those banks. Apart from this, a lot of skill sets and everything that is required, we will discuss that. That you require to get into this industry. Couple of things that I want you to understand or go through, right? This is just a general advice that I'm going to give you, right? So all of you use say Facebook or Insta or FaceTime, whatever, right? So how much time do you spend on reels and everything in a day? If you open your mobile, you'll get the answer to it, right? So approximately how much time would you be spending on those sort of apps? Right? Maybe 1 hour, 2 hours in a day, just scrolling reel, right? So what I want you to guys, right, is please spend 5 to 10 minutes daily on financial apps, right? Go to something like moneycontrol.com, financialtimes.com, economictimes.com, right? Go through global websites, right? Bloomberg.com, Reuters.com. So understand what is happening in the finance world. So when as an interviewer, right, I take interview, I seek whether the person is really interested in finance, right? If you're really interested in finance, right, you would definitely be keen on learning the whole, you can say, domain of investment banking, right? If you're not really interested in finance, if you're not really knowing what the markets are opening, what the markets are closing, what are the deals that are happening in this market, then that means there is lack of enthusiasm, right? I would not say that it is applicable for everyone, but for most of us, right? So make it a point that go through the markets, right? Take 10 minutes out of your busy schedule every day. Maybe what time does the Indian market open,
9 o'clock.
9:15.
right? Right,
Pre
9:15, right? So
Pre-market
maybe
9:15.
9:50.
right.
9
So
o'clock
nine
Pre-market
Indian
9.
fifty.
time.
Yeah. So take 5 minutes out, right? Say, look at okay how the markets are doing, how does the US market end, right? So it would give you an indication of how the Indian markets and the global markets are working, right? So now you see it is a chain reaction that's happening, right? So if anything happens in the US market, it affects the Asian markets, right? And then in case anything happens in Asia, it affects the European market. If anything bad happens in the European market, it affects the US market. So every sort of market is now interlinked. So it is very, very important for us as the finance enthusiast or people uh, dealing with investment banking that we are aware of what is happening across, not in India, but across the world, because we are going to deal with international clients, international customers, international banks, right? So our perspective has to be global, right? So please make it a point to go through all these websites, right? Maybe just take 5 minutes now and end of the day when once you're sleeping, right? Before sleeping, just take 5 minutes out, check, okay, what has happened in Indian market, what is happening in US market, right? So it gives you a good sort of knowledge, good sort of, you can say, you are able to learn so many new things, right? You will come across new words, right, which you need to learn, or you need would come across something that you're not aware of. So that builds your finance knowledge, that builds your interest in this domain. Right, guys, I'll answer your questions, right, about 6 years experience, 10 months, 10 years experience at end of it, right? So I'll go through that, what sort of profiles and what you need to do, right? So all of these are useful, right? Financial risk management, CFA, everything is sort of useful. So knowledge is something that is very, very useful, right? So the more knowledge that you get, right, the more cash will follow you, right? Don't go for cash, go for knowledge, right? Mark my words, right? So it is only because of knowledge that you will gain cash, right? If you say, okay, I want to get a package of say 10 lakh, that doesn't work, right? You need to have that knowledge, you need to have that experience to reach to that 10 lakh, right? You'll start with 4 lakh, you'll start with 7, you'll move to 7 lakh. Within 5 years, you move to 10 lakh. And from as you grow up the ladder, your compensation would also increase, right? And second thing that I want you to focus is it is just not a job that we are talking about, right? I have spent close to 17 years of my life in this industry in investment banking, right? So it is my whole career. It has given me the whole career, right? So once you get into this investment banking, there are so many multiple opportunities that you're going to get, right? From say operations, you can get into risk management, right? You can get to controls, you can get into BA, you can get into say so many corporate actions, derivatives, right? It is an ocean of opportunities that we are talking about, not limited to just sort of doing one sort of work over 20 years, right? So that is the main benefit that you'll tend to gain so much, right? You'll might have experiences, or you might be located in abroad for some time to on a project or a work, right? So that gives you global exposure. So that is sort of the benefit that I have reaped over my 17 years of career. Right. So basically, if you see some of the JDs that come for an investment bank, right? I'm just taking this example as a entry level, right? So there might be a lot of you who have experience, right? But from an operations perspective, I have taken just one example, right? And just look at the skill set and look at the requirements that they have, right? For example, this is for investment banking analyst, right? So the requirement basically comes from you can be from any background, right? be it BCom, BBA, BCA, masters, right? So in that sense, a lot of people come to me and say that I'm from a non-finance background. Can I get into it? I always say you have to work a little hard. Definitely, you can get into this. There's no hard and fast rule that people from tech background do not come. But and earlier I told you that business analyst is a sort of good platform or good sort of a role to get into. So let us look at this, right? So what are they checking, right? They are checking for basic knowledge of finance, trade life cycle, investment banking, derivatives, right? So look at whenever you apply for a job, right? A lot of people do not look at their requirements closely, right? When a job description is given, when, for example, I have been leading, say, a 15-member team in my previous organization, right? When I have a requirement for a job, right? So in the team that I was working, I had three specific requirements. I wanted a person with good communication skill. I wanted a person with good Excel skills. I wanted a person with knowledge of reconciliations and payments, right? So the first and foremost thing that you need to do is understand the job requirement, right? Whether you fit the role or not. So look at this. This is sort of a basic thing that they are looking for. So in terms of knowledge, what are they looking for? They are looking for finance knowledge, right? So finance knowledge can be capital markets, finance markets, right? Equity, fixed income, derivatives, commodities, FX, right? All this is part of your finance, right? And specifically, they are looking for trade life cycle, right? So trade life cycle is the steps involved from trade execution to stage to your trade settlement. As I told you, it is divided into front office, middle office, and back office. So front office has a couple of steps, which is trade uh, execution and trade capture. Middle office has steps of trade, say, validation, trade enrichment, trade booking, trade confirmation, and back office has steps like your pre-trade settlement, settlement date confirmation, settlement date, and then you have your reconciliation of your nostro and depot. Nostro and depot are nothing but your cash account and your securities account. So these are sort of steps that are involved from the trade executed by the time trade is executed and settled, right? And every sort of market has a different settlement cycle. So in India, the settlement cycle is T plus one. So for example, if you trade on Monday, you should get your shares in the account by Tuesday, right? In UK, it is T plus two, right? If you trade on Monday, you would get your shares by Wednesday. And earlier, if you see, sorry, it was T plus three. Sorry, guys, 1 minute. All right. So let us now move ahead, right? So you need high level of enthusiasm, commitment, productivity, right? That everyone should be there. Logical and quantitative abilities for certain roles. That is also there. Time management, ability to resolve issues. That is quickly, because look at when we are dealing with investment bank, right? We are not talking about hundred and thousand, right? The deal size that we're talking about millions and billions of dollars, right? If you do not respond on time, right? If you do not escalate on time, then the financial losses, or you can say the loss that you can cause, or the fine, or the sort of penalties that are given are quite high. So you have to follow something that is called SOP, and you have to escalate quickly. You have to you have should have the ability to work under pressure because they are live markets, right? So a lot of roles are live. That okay, the stock markets function between 9 a.m. or 9:15 a.m. to 3:30, right? So it is live trading or live market that you are dealing with. So you have to be very, very careful, right? Attention to detail, right? This is something that you have to develop if you have to survive in this industry. Right, so role category, investment banking, private equity, venture capital, right? So undergrad qualifications there. So look at that, right? So working in, as I told you, most of the roles would be in your back office or middle office, right? Then handling different stages of client, be it KYC, reference data, loan documents. So each sort of a process is defined. So corporate actions would be different, settlements would be different, payments would be different, reconciliations would be different, soft dollar would be different, right? So there are so many subcategories or subdivisions within the operations process. And whatever you're good at, right? If you're good at Excel, then something reconciliation, something that you can good at, right? If you're good at devising solutions, right? Then controls might be an option for you. So you need to know what are your strengths and then develop those strengths accordingly in order to get into an investment bank, right? Then of course you have expected to work on deadlines, right? Good at say reporting, MS Excel, that is now a must, right? Working on various trade support, right? Trade life cycle, trade confirmation, matching, settlements, all this is part of your middle office and front office. So these are the things, if you look at a job description closely, you would identify what sort of knowledge or what sort of requirement does that position have. Right? To just give you an example, right? Do you know what is the ratio of a job to an applicant just for investment banking position in India? For example, this job is open, right? Just an example for entry level. Do you know how many applications went for this particular job? Right? It is close to 1 is to say 500, especially for entry level. So you're competing with 500 odd people to get into that particular job. So you have to be better than the best in order to get it, right? The main or the most important thing is to get into any investment bank, right? The cash, the money, the package would follow with experience. So what I recommend to my students is whatever role you get it, right? Just get into an investment bank, right? Even a third party investment bank, right? I started my career with a third party, right? And look where I am now. So it doesn't matter, even if the third party, even if your salary is low, just take it, right? Once you have that stamp, once you have that thing that you have worked for any sort of profile, any sort of role, any sort of thing in an investment bank, your value of your resume just doubles up, right? You may not, as I told you, do not go after money, right? Go after knowledge, go after experience, right? You might say that, okay, I am just getting a package of say 3.5 lakh, while my friends have got a package of say 10 lakh. Okay, I agree. At this time, you might not be matching that. But look at 5 years down the line, right? You have joined as an analyst, say Goldman Sachs, right? After 2 years, every sort of year, you get a 10% increment. And say after 5 years you become a team lead, right? So for team lead the package might be 12 lakh to 15 lakh, right? Then you cover that amount that you've lost for maybe 5 years once you maybe jump from one organization to another organization, or when you get a title change, right? So that is very, very important. All right, do not go after money, right? I know it is important, but sometimes it has to be kept in a back pocket. Sometimes the focus should only be on knowledge, trying to get that job done, trying to get that career fix. As I told you, here it is just not a job that you're going to do, right? It is the whole career. Imagine you starting your career in at an investment bank at the age of say 24, 25, and for the next 20, 25 years you are into that industry. So from an analyst, imagine you would, once you retire or once you do not want to work, you will be, say, a director, a vice president, or an AVP, right? So look at that career journey. Look at that path that you're going to take, right? Money is something that is there today, tomorrow not there, right? So there are so many layoffs, there are so many something might be there, right? But what is going to help you? It is the knowledge, it is the experience that you have worked for an investment bank will get you the next job, right? So that is my request, that please go for knowledge, seek experience, and cash will follow suit, right? If you follow cash, sometimes it does not work that way, right? Okay, any questions? I have got a couple of questions that I'll take a little later, right? So let us see. So these are sort of very, very typical questions for operations I'm specifically talking about, right? So if you see now the trend is slightly different, right? You have a lot of other things that have come or merged with investment banks, say NAV calculations and etc. So I'm not talking about that at the present moment. This sort of webinar is mostly concentrated from an operations perspective that we are going to talk about, right? So, for example, when I have taken an interview, especially for entry level, right? So these are sort of basic questions that I want my future employee, right, to know. If they are not aware of even this, right, then I know that there is something wrong, right? Because if you look at the list of questions that I've given are very, very basic, right? This is something that you must know, right? If you are not able to answer these questions, right, then I would say that you are not even fit to join an investment bank, because these are very, very standard, very, very basic questions related to finance. So let us look at these questions, right? So what is investment banking, right? So something that we've already discussed. So can someone tell me what are the benefits of listing a company on an exchange? So what does it benefit? How does it benefit a company by going public or raising an IPO? Anyone?
Raising a money. Raising a money.
Okay, raise it gives access to capital. Good. Anything else?
Promoter doesn't need to invest. They can raise money from the market.
Yeah, access to capital. That is what. Anything else?
Some investor maybe exit. Want to exit.
Look at the question, right? What are the benefits of listing a company on the exchange? So I'm talking about from a company perspective. So why would you want to go and list? What are the main benefits of, say, IPO or listing? That is what the question is.
Maybe
So SEBI will come into picture and people will begin to trust more in your company.
Okay, good. So it gives you marketability, it gives you sort of
growth,
recognition, it increases the trustworthiness, goodwill, right? Okay, good.
growth in future,
Sorry, someone.
growth in future valuation, sure.
Right,
Valuation.
growth, yes, right. So these are sort of benefits of listing a company on an exchange, right? Then the next question is, what is, yeah, visibility? Perfect, right? So the next is, what is more expensive, cost of equity or cost of debt?
Cost of equity.
Okay, and why would you say that?
Because it takes the ownership of the organization, and where debt is only wants the interest rate of the money which they lend out.
Okay, fair enough. Any other points to add to it?
Also, you have to share the profit.
Right. So in form of dividends, you have to share the profits, right? So that is why cost of equity is greater than cost of debt, right? So what was the closing of NSE and NYSE for Friday? Anyone? At what price did NSE close and NYSE close? Right. So as I told you, these are all global markets, right? Global investment banks. So you have basically three shifts. You have a pack shift that starts with Australia from 5 a.m. Then you have, you can say, a Singapore shift or a pack shift that starts with 8 o'clock. Then you have, say, a UK shift that starts from 12:30 or 1:30. And then you have a US shift that generally starts from 5:30 to 6:30. So that is why I told you, do not look at only from Indian perspective. If you want to work for an investment bank, you need to have a global perspective, right? So who can tell me what was the closing for NSE and NYSE? Right. So for NSE, I think so it was 21,352.6, and NYSE, I think so it closed at 16,949, right? And when especially you are talking in terms of financial literacy or financial, when you're using financial words, right, you have to be very careful with the numbers, right? So be very, very careful when you are using numbers. So if it is 16,912, it has to be 16,912, right? You cannot say that, okay, NYSE is closed at 16,000 something, right? So that is something that what will differentiate you from others, to have a little knowledge and to have the exact knowledge, right? So that is what would really help you in the future. Okay, so let us now quickly move on. So what are corporate actions? Anyone?
Giving a rights, giving a dividends.
Okay, but what are, that is type of corporate action, but what exactly is corporate action?
Any kind of fluctuation, whether growing or it's going up or down because of some taking action by the government or some any economic conditions, because of that
Hmm.
particular corporate is
So
whether it's
what is
going
changing? What change in what? That is the question. So basically,
changes
corporate action.
changes in the price.
Excuse me, sorry to disturb.
Mhm.
Can I?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. That is
Basically,
what
when
you
a
have to be
corporate
very
action takes
specific.
place,
Sorry.
yeah, when a corporate takes place, that will have the impact on your share price, also the your other aspects of financial condition, which will reflect. In case of you're having like in the share price is overvalued, then you do the stock split. If it's undervalued, you do the buyback. So which is
Mhm.
having impact on your shares.
Yeah, right.
That is called as
Exactly.
a corporate action. They have the
Perfect. So,
mandatory and the voluntary.
right. Perfect, Satish. Thank you. So anything that you can say affects the share capital is referred to as corporate action. So any increase or decrease in price will be termed as corporate action, right? So good. Right. So what are derivatives and what are the different types of derivatives?
Sure, derivative means something which is derived from somewhere,
Mhm.
like certain options, like this kind of things are known as derivatives.
Right. So the value is derived from an underlying asset, right? So that is why I've been repeating, right? In You have to be very, very specific, right? So, for example, if this was an interview and if you gave that answer, that would not really make sense, right? So that is what you need to have full knowledge. That is what I'm emphasizing, right, guys? Once you go to a or go through a term, right, try to get the exact sort of verbiage or phrase. How do you phrase it? So anything that is derived from an underlying asset is called a derivative. And if you see, there are four main types of derivatives. You have futures, you have forwards, you have options, and you have swaps. Right. So we would not dwell into that. Uh, right. So explain the stages of trade life cycle. Let's see who can answer this. Anyone who has gone through work for an investment bank or knows what exactly is the trade life cycle. So if you remember earlier, I had explained you little part of it. Anyone wants to give it a try? So what are the divisions of investment bank that I've spoken about? Right,
Pre-trade, trade execution,
right, good. So front office, middle office, and back
back
office, right?
office.
So front office, there would be two stages, trade execution and trade capture. Then you move on to the middle office where the trade is validated, trade is enriched, trade is booked, and trade is confirmed. And then you go to the back office. Basically, you have pre-settlement date sort of work, then settlement, and then post-settlement activities where you actually reconcile your cash and security. So these are the stages of a trade life cycle. So there are a lot of books or a lot of, you can say, uh, theories around it, but this is sort of the whole concept, right? You will get a lot of different stages in it, but primarily, if someone asks, you can give these sort of 10 stages, close to 10 stages that I have spoken about. Right. So first, this question again, I have already, if you see, we have discussed how are investment banks different from commercial banks, right? So this is something that we've already discussed, right? Then who wants to take this one? So what is the difference between a market order and a limit order?
Sure, whenever
So,
we
so
trade,
when you place,
when
Sorry.
we place when we trade on the stock, and
Mm-hmm.
we want to buy or sell any particular share price from our choice, that is limit order. And when we trade on the take buy or sales, the
Mm-hmm.
stock trading currently on the stock market price, It is known as market price.
Right.
Market.
Okay. Right. So simple example or simple thing is, so whatever the current price that the share is trading on is known as your market price or market order. Limited order is when you set the price to purchase that or sell that. Right. Good. So next is what are mergers and acquisitions, and can you name a recent deal? So what are mergers and what are acquisitions? Are they both same? Are they both different? If they are same, then okay. If they are different, how are they different?
Sure. May I?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Acquisition are both are different. So where merger is kind of where some organization take the ownership or take major decision making authority in the some other organization, where acquisition is on different organization only acquired the different another organization, and in merger
Okay.
both organization merge and come up with the new name.
Okay. Can you give an example?
Recently, I don't remember the name.
Recently,
What?
HDFC Bank and HDFC merger.
Right.
Right,
Perfect. Good. You have
Adani,
Idea Vodafone.
right.
yeah, Adani acquired the SEC Cement.
Hmm. And
Right.
acquisition, any recent acquisitions that come to mind?
Pardon, sir?
Test acquisition. So we've spoken about merger, right? So any recent acquisition deal?
Adani Cement acquired SEC Cement.
Okay.
Starting specific to financial industry, State Street has acquired the HCL operations, which was in a collaboration
Hmm.
between both of JV that has been acquired by
Okay.
the states recent time, I think last 1 or 2 months back.
Good, good, right?
Hello.
So
Hello.
that is also good. And then you have your Tesla acquiring your Twitter. That is again a big sort of acquisition, right?
Hello.
So, hello, yeah.
Recent example of acquisition is Tata Consumer has acquired Capital Foods, Ching's
Mm-hmm.
secret.
Right,
That can be an example.
right, perfect, right? Good, guys. So this is what I want you to do from tomorrow. If you're already doing great. So this knowledge is very, very important from an interviewer's perspective, right? When I talk about these, right, I know that people who have answered are aware of what is happening in global scenarios, right? So take it to the next level, right? Take it to the next level in terms of knowing these concepts from an international perspective as well, right? As I told you earlier, currently, basically what I do is I am a CSI trainer. CSI is Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment. So it is an equivalent body of, say, CA or your FRM or your ACCA for investment banking. And we also have a lot of courses. And all these investment banks, right? For example, say JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley or UBS, right? There are certain requirements or there are certain rules, right, for which you have to be a CISI certified practitioner, or you must have cleared that examination. And for example, CSI is valid in, say, 120 countries with 75 sort of regulators approving that. So it is sort of an international certificate or international, you can say, a certificate that you would be getting in case you pass that examination, right? You can go to the CSI website for more information, right? If you want to connect with me, you can connect it, right? So that is something for future that you can look at, right? So something to ponder about. So it gives you sort of international exposure as well, because your sort of certificate would be valid across the globe, not only in India, across the globe. And in terms of recognition, right? So most of the banks recognize CISI as a global chartered body. And if you have a CISI certification, that means, especially once the resumes comes for screening, you would be the first one to be sort of chosen, at least for the interview, right? So these are sort of basic questions that there are a lot of questions that can be answered, taken, but what I thought was these are the sort of something related to very basic, something that everyone should be aware of, right? I would not say that these are the only questions that would come, but sort of questions that would be coming. Right. So as I told you, the next is important skills, right? So you need to have certain skills to get into this market. So basically, you need to have Excel skills, you need to have presentation skills, right? Data analysis, because you'd be dealing with a lot of numbers, you'd be reconciling, right? So these are the things that MentorMe takes care, right? So you have advanced Excel classes, you will have financial mathematics classes, where all your sort of these things are taken to the next level. Then capital markets, right? Basically, the modules are divided into two parts. One is your equity markets, then your derivative markets, your fixed income markets. Apart from that, we cover the entire trade life cycle. We capture risk. We have AML, right? So from every perspective of capital markets and investment banking, we cover the concept, right? So whatever is asked, especially in interviews, you would be ready to challenge it. You would be ready to take that challenge and go through it, right? So again, it is a very, very sort of comprehensive skills that we try to develop you over the 200 sort of hours that we are together, right? So from every sort of skill that is important, be it communication, be it Excel, be it financial mathematics, be it from if you look at the JD, right? We want people from, say, trade life cycle, from equities, from derivatives. So all the financial products, everything is covered under one roof. So we sort of polish you in such a way that you are almost ready to go and do the work, right? So that is what MentorMe offers you, right? And if you look at the process, right? So once you are interested, then you would need to contact MentorMe, right? Then the course modules, as I told you. So we have 4 or 5 different modules, right? So you'll have financial mathematics, you'll have your communications, right? Then you have your CVs, right? And then you have, as I told you, everything related to capital markets, from equities to fixed income to derivatives to commodities to cryptos. Every sort of sphere is covered there. Then, of course, you have your CV building and mock interview sessions, right? That is something that we also emphasize, because we know that a lot of people are freshers. They would not be able to sort of know how a question would be asked, right? So definitely we have a lot of mocks and a lot of CV building in order to you can say make them ready to face the uh, actual interview rounds. Two, you can say the main points about joining MentorMe is your placement support till you get placed, right? So a lot of institutes that I worked with previously say that there is job guarantee, right? Guys, let me tell you, I'm this industry, there's nothing as job guarantee. The job guarantee is only in your hands, right? As it is said that we can take the horse to the pond, but that ultimately it is the horse who needs to drink the water. So we are here to provide you all the support, all the guidance, everything from an investment banking perspective. However, we can guarantee you interviews. We will guarantee you interviews till you succeed. However, it is in your hands to take that final step or final hurdle, right? So we are there till providing you interviews till you get pleased. Not one, two, three, n number of interviews we would provide you. However, the final round, or you can the last hurdle, you have to cross it. And another important or another sort of USP of MentorMe is that you can attend unlimited batches, right? For example, if you did a financial markets course curriculum, right, and you're not comfortable or you're not thorough or you're not ready, then you can revisit or you can do the entire sort of course free of cost, and not one time, two times, three times, but n number of times you can do this. So that is a sort of benefit that MentorMe gives you, which I don't think so is available with any sort of other course, right? If you go to any other sort of tech company, they say that, okay, this is for 100, 150 hours, this is done, right? So you have access, you can say 24/7 access to the portal, to the LMS, where you can revise, you have mock questions, you have mock answers, sort of case studies, right? So you have tests, you have assessments, and once you're prepared, then you go for it. You have certifications, right, which you can definitely post on LinkedIn, right? So something, again, I want to talk about a little bit of LinkedIn, right? So now most of the jobs are coming through LinkedIn, right? So you need to have a very, very sort of strong profile. At the end, maybe once I close it, I'll just go take you through my sort of profile, right? So it creates a big impact on the hiring process, right? Now, if you see hiring costs, or most of the companies are cutting costs, and LinkedIn is now, you can say, a new way of getting good talent. So most of the jobs are happening now through internal referrals, right? So if you say 10% of jobs are given to the market, 90% of the jobs are happening through internal job postings, where the company would say, okay, refer us friends, we will give you 25,000 rupees, right? In order to, if you go to the market, that same candidate would cost you more than 1 lakh. But if you just give an internal referral, the company would be reducing its cost, right? So you would just need to pay 25,000 or 50,000 in order to get a good candidate. That is why it is very important to network, very important to look at people who are hiring, connect with industry sort of leaders, connect with people who are from hiring background into investment banking, right? Bring your you have to market yourself basically, right? If you do not market yourself, then it is slightly difficult, because that is how the internet has shaped the world now, right? So that is something that is going to be very, very critical, right? And look at this, right? So 200 hours of training, you have unlimited interviews. Median package that we have been given is 4.5 lakhs, right? You learn from industry professionals, right? As I told you, I have come from this industry. I have 17 years of experience. There are a lot of trainers that come from 15, 20, 25 years of experience, right? You have lifetime access to the course, and it is at your convenience. You have weekday batches, you have weekend batches, so everything is tailor-made according to your needs. You just need to show interest. You just need to have that sort of basic knowledge, and we will take care of rest of the things to make sure that you're ready for this investment banking industry. Right. Okay, so this is what is there from my end, right, guys? So we are little over time, so we would like to wrap it quickly, right? So keep coming to me with your questions. So let's see, what are the questions that we have? Right. So, sir, what about people from other backgrounds? Like I am from retail banking, around 10 years of experience. Right. So, I am not sure about your name, sir, but basically it is open market, right? So if you have the desired skill, you have not told me what exactly retail banking are you coming from, right? So in terms of people with good financial knowledge, that is the crux here, right? I would not say that you can directly get into a sort of a manager role, but something you can look at a team lead role, or you can look at a senior analyst role, right? As you have got experience, as you know, or as you are aware of the financial products, the financial market, right? So you can start your career from there. As I told you, if you just go for any third party sort of client, or any sort of captive, anything, right? Just have that investment banking client on your resume, and then your you can say your career is kickstarted. So anyone can join this. There is no sort of restriction if you come from retail bank. The only thing that I told you is knowledge. If you have good sound financial knowledge, this industry is open for you.
Sure. I also have a question regarding. I am currently about to finish my MBA with finance.
Mhm.
So I got back.
Guys, sorry, I'll take your question. I'll just go in order, right? I have a couple of questions that are already waiting in chat. Apologies, right? I'll take your question. Just hang on.
Okay.
Right. So Manpreet has asked me, I have 6 years experience in retail asset operation, right? So definitely you can get Manpreet into credit manager or a team lead profile, right? So that is something that you can look at, right? So if you look at the investment banking provider, as I told you, there are number of opportunities that are there. There are number of roles that are present. So you have to mold your resume accordingly. You have to sort of play with the words here and there. So what are the words that they're looking for? So add something like trade life cycle, add something like financial products, add equities, add derivatives, right? So this is how you will get focus, right? If you look at number of keywords, right? So if you add trade life cycle to your resume, if you add equities, if you add say BFSI, These are the keywords through which recruiters search your resume, right? And if these keywords are missing in your profile, then you may have the knowledge, but you are left out because your resume is not being looked at, right? So definitely add these sort of words to your profile. So look at sort of profiles for investment banking. Look at the words that they are being used, especially for if we look at the job JD that I gave, right? So these are the keywords that uh, recruiters look at, right? Say investment banking, equity, derivatives, trade life cycle, reconciliation, payments, right? So if you add these words to your resume, definitely you would have a better chance of grabbing a job in investment banking. Right. So next is how CFA and FRM are in. I think so. I've answered that, but again, right, financial risk management. As I told you, for last 5, 7 years, right, with a lot of focus on say controls, internal controls, external controls. This is a very, very good course. And if you have this operations course with VRM, then you can say it is the icing on top of a cake, right? Because you would have the operations knowledge as well as risk management. So you can get into operations as well as controls. And also you can get into, as I told you, consulting firm, be it PwC, Ernst Young, all of these are now having requirement for capital markets, regulatory reporting, right? Something on SOC, something on Basel, something on MiFID 2, right? Regulatory reporting, MiFID, these are the things that you would now start looking at because these are global jobs that are happening not only in India but across the globe, right? Be it UK, be it US, people require people with regulatory knowledge, right? So there are a lot of you can say regulatory and compliance laws that are available. So most of it comes from SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley, SOX, and then you have your MiFID, MiFID 1, MiFID 2, right? So these are your international laws that again can drive you into investment banking world, right? The next question is, sir, I've seen people who have investment for 50 lakh. Is it true? Yes, it is true. However, I would say that only if you have reached a level of, say, director or above, right? So it would be at least minimum of 15 to 20 years of experience that you are talking about. And the packages can go as high as to 1 CR as well, right? But do not believe that at an entry level you would get so much package. One or maybe one out of a million might get if they are exceptional. But as I told you, the median package for an investment banker as an analyst, the roadmap is like you be an analyst, then a senior analyst, then a team lead, then a manager, then an AVP or slash senior manager, VP, director, and then you can have a managing director. So that is the career path, right? And each sort of you can say promotion would take at least 2 to 3 years. And as you go up from team lead, it might take longer. It might take 4 years, 5 years, right? So at least I believe you need to have 15 to 20 years of experience to get into that package. Right. So I am from MBA Finance by 24. I can get into, of course, you can get into investment banking. As you are MBA Finance, right? That is the most, I think so, opportune time for you to get into investment banking. Right. Okay. So I've finished the questions in chat, right? So if anyone has any other questions, please let me know. Someone was asking a question, right? Sorry.
Yes, sir. I was asking that I get placed from my college. One role is for a proprietary trading company, a research associate
Mm-hmm.
in trading firm. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a private trading firm. The role is a research associate technical, and
Okay.
another one wealth officer, then wealth management in Bajaj Capital.
Mm-hmm.
So which one I should select if I want to, for in future I want to move in the investment banking career.
Right. So, if you like, it is proprietary trading, right? So, proprietary trading, you will get a lot of sort of knowledge about how actually the trading industry works, right? So if I was in your position, definitely Bajaj Capital, more of wealth manager would be, I don't know if it is into sales or what exactly is the profile. But if I would be getting something into front office, something into proprietary trading, definitely I would take that.
Right. In Bajaj Capital, they were actually showing, some kind of bit market also. We are supposed to go in the market and deal with
Yeah, so
clients.
that I think most probably that they have packaged it as wealth manager, but mostly again it would be, I'm not sure, I might be wrong, right? I have not seen the JD or stuff, but it might be a little bit into sales as well. So that is what I think. So, but
Right.
definitely proprietary trading would be a very good opportunity to learn how exactly the front office works, right? So from that perspective, the knowledge wise, I think so that would be great.
Yes, sure. They are proprietary trading. If they were, they are trading also for the NISM certification derivatives
Mhm.
and that. And
Right.
we are supposed to do analysis for technical research associate.
Right. So I think so that would be really good. So a lot of demand for technical analysis, right, in today's market. So that I think so. What I feel definitely would be a better comparison to wealth manager from a Bajaj Cap.
Right. Oh, thank you, sir.
No worries. Okay.
Hello.
Anyone has any other question?
Hello.
Yeah, Satya, tell me.
Sir, actually, I have been working in a nationalized bank, commercial bank, for last
Mhm,
18. Basically, I have dealt HR, credit, recovery, etc.,
mhm,
etc. File. But I am planning for the FRM and CFA courses
mhm.
presently. Planning.
Okay.
So, will it be a good decision or not?
Look, nothing is a bad decision, right? As I told you, the more knowledge you seek, the better you get it, right? So CFA again, you would be mostly getting into the valuation side, right? So mostly into budgeting, forecasting, NAV calculations, mergers and acquisition sides in investment banking, right? And FRM would again lead to you for controls perspective, risk management, internal audit, external auditor, that sort of profile. And as I told you, if you also look at CISI, right? So guys, I would definitely encourage you to look at CISI as an option as well. So
For
this is
this,
where
I guess you need to be having any, I mean, IT background, right?
no. It is Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment. It is purely for investment banking operation. They have a course IOC, International Operations Certificate. It is purely functional investment banking knowledge, right? So the first sort of it is divided into three levels, and first level is very basic, right? Where you have economic environment, equities, derivatives, money market. So even if you clear one level, right, the best thing about CISI is that you are eligible to trade, right? So you get another career option of training. So and they pay
Sir,
really well.
uh,
So
sorry to interrupt. Which is the institution providing? Is it GAP?
uh, it I'll give you it is CISI.
Because I am not aware about this.
Yeah, so probably go through their website, right? So I work or I am a CISI trainer. It is very similar to the investment banking course that we will. If you register for Mentor Me, right? It would be very similar to that.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right?
Uh,
So you can take an option, and even going forward, there are talks going on with VentureMe, right, where we would be collaborating with CISI. So it would be a very sort of, as I told you, it is an international certificate. It is valid over 75 countries, right? And certain rules demand to be a CISI uh, certified sort of practitioner. So
Actually,
from
my apprehension is that investment banking is totally different from commercial banking. My experience is with commercial banking, and I'll start afresh in
Right.
investment.
So that is what you have to do, right? You have to start a fresh. So maybe you might, as I told you, as you have so much experience, you might well try for, say, maybe a senior analyst or a team lead role, right? Because of the knowledge that you possess, right? But
Exactly.
again, but you have to be ready. I cannot guarantee that that will also happen, but I've seen people with commercial banking background getting into that role because of the knowledge you guys possess for over the last whatever tenure you have worked in, right? So work on it, right? So that would be something good.
Oh,
Sir, hi,
thank you.
Pankaj here.
Uh, s-
Hello.
Sorry.
Yeah, Pankaj here.
Yeah, Pankaj,
Uh,
please go ahead.
yeah, sir, I'm been into retail branch banking basically for the last 10 years. So I'm the basically the operation head over here.
Mhm.
Okay. So is it comfortable to be switched into this role, and which role if I get it into it to what profile exactly, like how it can be match my package and like the role or something like that.
Okay, so how much years of experience do you have?
I have almost around 10 years of experience. So right now I'm the operation head in retail branch
Okay.
banking. So
Okay,
so I
right.
just want
So
to.
again, you can probably, if you get into the knowledge of, say, IP related products, how exactly it works, right? So basically, at that level, 10 years, it is more of, you can say, people management, right? You would really, you would need to understand the whole sort of operation workflow. And from there, it is basically, I do not think that you would be actually doing any sort of work, right? It is more of managing, it would be more of approving payments or maybe looking at escalations, right? So from that perspective, you can try for, say, a team lead role or a manager role in investment banking. With that, apart from that, you would need to gain definitely investment banking knowledge, right? Because if they test you at a higher level of, say, investment banking, then you should be ready for it, because higher sort of investment banking comes from level 2, level 3, which is securities operations, or say entire trade life cycle, custodian, your DTCC, Euroclear, all this, right? So comes into picture. So uh, from that perspective, then you have to really get into a lot of learning. But again, from 10 years experience, you can get into, I think, so a team lead role, and from there you can focus and move on.
So you think so that I might get a team leader role like by doing your course or something like this,
Yeah, definitely you can get, right?
Yeah, because
I've seen a
I'm
lot
already
of people,
handling a
right?
team only right now. So I'm into a team leader role only. But
Yeah.
retail banking is completely different from investment
Right.
banking.
So that is what I told you, right? You have to
Yeah.
market yourself. Basically, what are you looking? You're looking at people with knowledge, right? And if you have the right kind of knowledge, if you have the right temperament, right? As you're already handling the team, right? So team handling, as I told you, as you go up the ladder, right? It is more of
Mm,
team handling, escalation
mm.
handling, right? Stakeholder management, right? So if you're good at it, project management, right?
Mm.
If you're good at it, definitely there would be a chance.
And what about the package? Like, will they match the
So
package?
it depends. It depends, right? So if, for example, an average TL package, right, that I'm talking about in industry would be close to 10 to 12 lakhs, right? So I don't know your current package, but if you go for a TL average package, it can be high. It would not be lower, but nothing less than 10 lakh that I would assume that you will get.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Right. Okay, I have a question from Divyanka. So, I have been selected for trade capture review role in OTC derivative in e-clear. How progressive will that be? Right. Divyanka, close your eyes and take it. Right. I'll give you a small story about this. Right. So, 2 years back, similar e-clerks might not pay you that well, but I will tell you that story that would change your perspective. Right. So, I had this guy. He was a fresher. Right. He had done MBA, and he got this opportunity through me, where in e-clerks was conducting interviews, and he was selected. So he was based out of, say, Chandigarh. Right. The role was in Chandigarh. At that time, COVID was there, right? So it was mostly work from home sort of a role. The package that they were offering was very, very less, right? It was just about 17K in hand. So he asked me, sir, I've spent so much and I'm only getting 17K, right? I told you, ask me this question 2 years from now, right? I told you, once you have that investment banking thing on your profile, right, it would just add another level to your resume. So recently, like it'll be no, not even 1.5 years, right? So he was working with eClerks only. Recently, last month, he called me, sir, I have got another role. I've got with JP Morgan, same profile, and my package has now been increased to, say, 7 lakhs. Now, I told him, right? Do you remember what I told you 2 years back, right? So that is what it is, right, guys? Once you get that knowledge, right? For example, Divyanka, right? You are getting such a good opportunity to get into OTC derivatives, right? So it is a very, very good profile. So once you learn about it, once you definitely explore it, there are two things. You can internally move into e-clerks with other good opportunities, or you can move on to some other company, because derivatives, OTC, this would be definitely in demand, right? As I told you, the package might not be very sort of inviting, not be very lucrative, but look it as a career, right? You might be stuck in that package maybe for 1 year, 2 years, right? But look at the experience that you will gain, right? You will not gain any sort of experience in any other field if you want to get into IB, right? So my suggestion is close your eyes, whatever package is it, take it as it comes. Uh, just seek knowledge, learn as much as possible, float your resume in market in 1.5, 2 years, and then tell me, sir, whether it was correct decision or wrong decision, right? So
Yes.
I'll tell you, just take it.
Okay, so thank you.
Right. Anyone else? Right. If not, what I'll quickly do, we'll just quickly try to wind up. I'll just show you my LinkedIn profile, guys. And if you want to connect, you can connect me there. Right. And then I'll give you a little bit of tips out to how do you need to make your LinkedIn profile, right? Because now that has sort of become mandatory to have a appealing LinkedIn profile. Okay, guys, I hope it is visible, right? So yeah, so that is my profile, right? So if you see like a brief description of what exactly you do. So your profile needs to be what exactly you're looking for, right? Open to work, you can add open to work, right? So this is what I have given: a short but crisp experience, investment banking and capital market consultant, having gained excellent exposure in top investment banks, having worked in middle office. Here you need to try and imbibe whatever you have done in a very concise manner, right? So if you look, I have worked on all these sort of things, and apart from that, I've also conducted a lot of investment banking training. So I've tried to capture the essence of what I've done in 17 years in a gist, right? So that is something that is very, very important. Try to do certification, guys. If you look at me, right? So I have done a lot of certifications, right? Try to post things, right? That is how you get recognized, right? So this has been my career path, right? So I started with Wipro, then I moved to, as I told you, Morgan Stanley, then Credit Suisse, then a little stint with NSE, then with Ernst Young, and now I've completely moved into trainings. Right. So this is again very, very important, guys. So look at sort of whatever you do, try and post it, right? So it adds a lot of value to your resume and to your profile, right? So whatever sort of licenses, try and add it, because it is very, very imperative, right? So these are the things that you can definitely do little changes to your profile in order to work for it. Right, so someone wanted me to put my profile, right? So, right, I hope this works. Okay, guys, we are well over time. Any last thoughts, any last sort of feedback, any last of questions? Please let me know. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found this 1.5 hour session informative, right? So please share your feedback. If you liked it, please sort of you can write something on my profile, right? You can give recommendations, right? So I'm also completely sort of as everyone expects it, right? So if anything positive is there, do let me know. If anything negative is there, do let me know, right? And I wish you all the very best in whatever you do, and I hope you would be interested in this MentorMe course. You would apply for it, and if you apply for it, I might be one of your, you can say, trainers, right? So it was a pleasure meeting you all, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for taking time out on a Sunday and attending this, right? And it's been an absolute pleasure. Right. Last sort of a couple of minutes, if anyone has any last thoughts, any sort of thing that you want to share, please go ahead. So everything is clear, everything was okay, right? No, nothing, no questions. Right. Okay, guys, I'll take it as a no. Thank you again for dialing in, and uh, wish you all the very best. Take care and all the best.